What's up, y'all? Megami here, and today I want to talk about something that has been occurring often throughout the years, and that is the return of old dormant IPs. Over the years, we've had many dormant IPs return with a new entry or a remake in the franchise or just a port, and it's pretty much important to note that new releases, whether they be a remake, remaster, new entry, or sequel, can be really important to determine the future of a dormant series or IP. And even then, we get new entries that prove that an old dormant IP can be made new and fresh again. We've seen game companies bring back many dormant IPs from Famicom Detective Club and Kid Icarus by Nintendo, as well as Mana, Star Ocean, The World Ends With You, and Neo by Square Enix, all of which seem to be going well, mostly, with Kid Icarus Uprising and Nier Automata especially going as far as becoming beloved games for newcomers and veterans. While we haven't had any new entries in those series announced as of yet, these games made their way to new fans and got many people into the series thanks to these games. And then we had Chibi Robo Ziplash, which basically killed the series forever. Rest in peace, little Robo. The reason I want to touch on dormant IPs is because of news of recent IPs being revived in the last couple of years and months. More specifically, Sega, Capcom, and Koei Tecmo being the big three in terms of recently reviving IPs often. Back at the Game Awards 2023, Sega announced they're reviving a handful of IPs including Jet Set Radio, Golden Axe, Crazy Taxi, and more, with the recent Shinobi as well as the new Virtua Fighter games being announced recently in the last couple of months. Capcom themselves announced the return of not one but two dormant IPs, with Onimusha Way of the Sword set for 2026 and a sequel to Okami, both announced at the Game Awards 2024. We also got a remaster of Onimusha 2 recently announced, which is very cool for those wanting to go back and try some of the older titles while waiting for the new one, as well as multiple Capcom fighting collections, including games in the Marvel vs. Capcom series, and also Dragon's Dogma 2 last March, which seems to have been mixed. And last but not least, the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. So it's safe to say that they have a diverse library of IPs that they're taking advantage of, minus the multiple Resident Evils and Monster Hunters they've been doing for years. Hopefully Pragmata is on the way, cause I'm a little concerned since we haven't heard a thing in quite a while about this new IP. Koei Tecmo also brought back some IPs recently, with two big franchises, once dormant, returning. The first is Dynasty Warriors, which recently released with Dynasty Warriors Origins back in January, which I haven't played but I've heard really good things about, which is the first new Dynasty Warriors since Dynasty Warriors 9, way back in 2018. Unless you count any of the Nintendo Warrior titles, I mean. Plus, it sold 1 million copies recently, so good on them for that. We also got the return of Ninja Gaiden with multiple entries in the series. We got Ninja Gaiden Ragebound at the Game Awards 2024, a brand new 2D platformer developed by The Game Kitchen, who are known for the indie game Blasphemous. We also got the announcement of the return of 3D Ninja Gaiden titles, with the first mainline title in over 13 years, Ninja Gaiden 4, developed by Team Ninja in collaboration with Platinum Games, set to release in 2025. We also got an Unreal Engine 5 remake or remaster, whatever y'all want to call it, of Ninja Gaiden 2 called Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which they quite literally dropped right after that developer's direct, and people seem to be loving it. Konami is another one that comes to mind, with them bringing back Silent Hill in the form of Lost Message, the Silent Hill 2 remake, which is peak, as well as multiple other Silent Hill projects in the works, including a brand new game, Silent Hill F, as well as remasters of Suikoden 1 and 2, which will definitely be out by the time this video drops. And also the Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Delta remake, which I myself am personally looking forward to as someone who played the original via Master Collection and loved it last year, releasing in August. Which, speaking of, they did bring back games in the Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid series via the Master Collection way back in 2023. Never played the OG Metal Gear games, but Metal Gear Solid, very good and honestly peak games. Just bring Master Collection Volume 2 out soon so we can finally play Metal Gear Solid 4, Metal Gear Rising, and Peace Walker on modern systems. I do think it's important to bring back old dormant IPs because by going into the history of their IPs and making a remake or remaster or a new game, they can bring back fans of those IP while also gaining newcomers to get interested into said IP. They don't even have to be big either. They could easily be small titles depending on the IP, although Sony has plenty of dormant IPs they could bring back. Please, give me Gravity Rush, give me Sly Cooper, give me Bloodborne. We don't need PS5 remasters of Days Gone, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Last of Us Part 2. Those games could already be played on PS5 via a PS5 boost patch at 60 FPS. You know what can't be played on PS5 via a PS5 boost patch at 60 FPS? Blood! By the way, it's important to note that regarding Sly Cooper games on the PS Classics catalog, these games are really freaking good. As soon as Sly 1 dropped on the PS Store, it overtook the top spot of the biggest classic PlayStation title that was previously held by another dormant PlayStation IP, The Legend of Dragoon. And Sly 2 and 3 alongside 1 rose to become the highest rated games on the PlayStation Store, so the demand for not just Sly Cooper but old dormant IPs are there, Sony. And not just from Sony, but all game companies. Metroid itself was once dormant for a long while. However, since Samus Returns and Prime 4's initial announcement back in 2017, Metroid feels like it's got a place in the Nintendo lineup of franchises now. And that will especially be true with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond coming out in 2025. Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon were also dormant for a couple years after multiple attempts at reboots and new games, and were able to come back for a while with remastered trilogies and multiple new games for Crash specifically, including a new online multiplayer game, which I don't really hear anyone talk about much, a canon sequel to Crash 3 Warped, which is amazing, and the Crash Team Racing game that, from what I hear, is a mix of a remake and a new game. I'm not sure. Don't ask me, I never played them. Dead Space was also dormant for a while until the Dead Space remake dropped back in 2023, only for it to not sell as well and become dormant once again because EA said no Dead Space 2 remake. And yes, unfortunately, reviving IPs can either be hit or miss, with some gaining newfound appreciation from newcomers and veterans alike, and others unfortunately becoming dormant again, either due to a studio shutdown or they just say no to anything relating to that franchise anymore. Or they get hated on so much they just cancel it themselves. And unfortunately for Bloodborne fans, Astrobot is the closest we're getting to Bloodborne in 60 FPS.